In the Muslim religion, you're not allowed to have what? Sex. Good.
Alright, so in this video I'm going to show you how to potentially waterproof the wheels or the bearings of your longboard or shortboard or pennyboard. What I did here is I just used duct tape and put it on the inside and the outside, cutting a hole in the inside. This time around I used thumbtacks to try to keep the tape on because the adhesive of the tape will eventually wear off after riding through the rain. I'm doing this because if you ride through the rain without duct tape and stuff like that, you'll probably get your bearings seized up after one hard session, so I'm hoping that this will make it last a little bit longer. So keep watching. Thanks. First off, this is the way I set up my bearings. I have the I notice most of the dirt is going to come on the inside when you have your wheels set up the way I'm about to show you how to set them up. So I figured I would have both of the bearing shields facing towards the inside because this part of the wheel is going to be pretty much waterproofed, so I'm not really too worried about any dirt getting in on that side. King tape, putting it on both sides, or just putting it on the wheel here. Okay, so I've got the tape on there. As you can see, I put a little X crossways, so it'll cover as much as I can. Push it down, make sure it's nice and sealed. Now I have this is a straight blade razor, or straight blade. You could probably also use an X-Acto knife, or just any sort of blade. And what I'm doing with this blade is I'm gonna go ahead and try to cut, just at the rim, so I can get some of this excess tape off of the sides. So if you've done that correctly, you should be able to just peel off your excess tape. And have your nice seal there, as you can see there. So now what I'm going to do, last time I did this, I used super glue, and it worked pretty well. It actually did eventually wear off, and the tape started coming off. So my next idea was staples. I couldn't find a stapler at the moment. So I bought some of these thumbtacks, and maybe these will work even better than a stapler. So I'm going to go ahead and just put a couple of these in. So now I've got 4 of them in there. I'm going to continue putting a few more in because I know over time with the moisture that's going to be hitting this wheel, all of this adhesive is going to wear off. So at one point, these tacks are going to be the only thing holding this on. So I want to make sure there's a lot of them in there. So I think that'll probably be pretty good. Obviously your next step is you're going to want to do this to all 4 of your wheels. Now what I'm going to need to do is I'm going to need to cut a hole in here so I can actually get it onto the axle of my skateboard. The only way for water to get into your wheel once you're going to be done with duct taping the entire thing is going to be through the hole that we make here for your axle. So as a preventative measure, since water might be getting in here a little bit, I figured it would be a good idea to also cut some holes in the edges, so if water does get in, it doesn't just stay there, and while you're riding, and if you're in a dry spot, it'll come out through these holes that we're about to make. So I'm gonna make a couple holes just on the edges though. There you go. Got some holes on the sides now so water can come out through that. So now we also are going to need a hole in the middle for the axle. you want to cut a hole that's just a little bit larger than your typical bearing. So if I remember the last time I get your blade in there. And then just try to shave off just a bit. And as you can see, oh, it's kind of uniform. And it's actually not terrible. So now probably the first idea is to throw that on and see if it's working. Luckily, on my first try, I've got it to the point where it's not touching anything on the axle, so that's a good thing. Yeah, so I guess that works. So now I just go ahead, repeat this process for all the other wheels. You know, you want to put on the washer, the wheel, the other washer. Okay, so we're going to be doing exactly the same thing we did on the other side, except it's going to be a little bit simpler because we don't need to cut a hole after we're done taping it. So, see, we got the wheel on, got the nut on. Now we're going to go ahead and put another cross of tape on. Okay, so I've got the tape on, but one thing I like to do is you want to push it in just a little bit. I mean, not to the point where it's touching the nut on the inside. There you go, see, so I can feel the nut, but it's not sticking to it exactly. Now by pushing it inside, I get a little bit more surface area here for the tape to work with, rather than just taping it to the absolute rim of the wheel. Okay, once again, we're going to get the blade and try and trim off just the excess tape on the edges. I think that's it. So, yeah, it just comes off nice and easy. Make sure the tape is about as stuck down as I can get it. Okay, and back to the tacks, the thumbtacks. It's going to leave my wheel looking a little bit like Christmas, I believe.